We're going to get into our regular Thursday 6:30 meeting. We're not too far off track. Was the meeting posted? Okay, number one.
First item with respect to special events permits for amplified outdoor public entertainment. Christopher Samaras, City of Lowell Downtown Coordinator, is unable to be here this evening, so he's requested the matter be continued for our next regular meeting.
Make a motion to continue.
Do we have another meeting before June 2nd?
Apparently, I should also interject that he indicated in an email to me that the June 2nd event, he's withdrawing it.
All right, make a motion to continue.
All right.
Second, all in favor, say yes.
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 Next on the agenda.
Commission
Actually
now open a
be
hearing
inclined to
continued from May
approve
3rd, 2012, on the allegations of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against Mr. Jalapeno, Brendan T. Doucette, manager, the malt beverage and wine-only restaurant licensee at 124 Merrimack Street, for violation of law and regulations that the Lowell Police report took place on the premises March 10, 2012. Patrons not of legal age furnished alcohol beverages, failure to properly label tap, faucet, and drafting device, failure to maintain the licensed premises in a clean and sanitary condition, failure to display Alcohol Beverage Control Commission warning signs, and then citing also 204 CMR 2.05 with reference to no licensee for the sale of alcohol beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, or illegality.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Chairman, George Theodore, 133 Market Street, appearing on behalf of Mr. Jalapeno. I'm here with the manager, Brendan Doucette, and I would request, Mr. Chairman, a waiver of the reading of the charges. And
Okay.
furthermore, I would even agree to stipulate to the report that Captain Webb would want to read. We stipulate to the facts in the report as true. There is no question that there has been mismanagement at Mr. Jalapeno. The record will show that this establishment was before the board most recently in February for similar charges and similar infractions. And I have spent time with Mr. Doucette, have admonished him as to the seriousness of the matter. Mr. Doucette has assured me that he intends to act responsibly, to be a responsible licensee, and to accept the privilege of administering that license responsibly. Now, he intends to give this board its full
Excuse me, sir, you're
cooperation.
saying all this intends. He is the manager of record, isn't
He is the manager, but he has made mistakes over there. And we acknowledge that, Mr. Doucette acknowledges that. And even given the fact that if you would like us to appear before this board in a 6-month review to make sure that there are no other infractions there, Mr. Doucette would be willing to do that. And we would request that, given a cooperation in that manner, that we have a punishment or a finding that's fitting. And what I suggest is to have a temporary 30-day rollback in the hours to 11 o'clock. And I ask that that be a temporary rollback, and I ask that this board consider that as one finding. There are two public hearings before this commission today, one being a hearing on the infractions, and a second one, I understand, is a hearing for the rollback based upon the public need.
Attorney Theodore, just to stop you, we've gone through this with the city solicitor, and she's instructed us that from this point forward, we have to have 2 separate hearings against our beliefs,
judgment.
but that's what we've been instructed. So yes, we just have to keep them separate for the record.
Again, that's her opinion. When we did them combined, we've always been upheld, but that's the opinion today.
I respect what the board has to do in administering the decision.
Let me ask you this, if this may address the issue. Would your client object if we imposed a rollback as a disciplinary measure?
I've offered as a disposition for this that it would be a rollback, a temporary rollback of 30 days to 11 o'clock.
You know, this isn't the first time, and, you know, intentions, you know, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Intentions aren't any good. You know, and I can appreciate you coming in here and asking for, I think we need to have a look at this. Number one is, it bothers me that the police department found the beer taps changed with the wrong label, and it bothers me that, I don't know, was any of the officers here that was involved with this? Was anybody from the Board of Health been down there to look at it, to take a look at this place?
I don't know if the Board of Health has been down there or not. Lieutenant Goldner and Detective Callahan are here this evening.
Okay? I'd like to talk to Lieutenant Goldner, I'll put you on the spot. I'm just curious as to why you put that in your report. Was the place that dirty? In the report here, it says that it was failure to, excuse me, I'm sorry, failure to maintain the premises in a clean and sanitary condition.
That was, sir, that was based upon the 2 bottles of alcohol that we do have here, that one of them contained fruit flies and the other contained some foreign matter or foreign substance, and that's why that charge was brought forth.
Okay. I did participate in one of those when the old Rainbow Lounge, they went in there and they dumped everything down the drain, everything, wiped the whole place out. I was just totally amazed at the time, but they wiped the whole thing out. And the only way you can actually find out if in fact is, you're gonna have to get a Board of Health that has what they call a blue box. It's a box about so big and it lights up, and you spin they put the bottles inside and it lights up the bugs. So especially if you're a Catholic, you don't wanna be in there drinking on a Friday, because there's meat in the drinks. Trust me, okay? That's a joke. You get it? Never mind. Anyways, I think like myself personally, you need a couple of days to straighten this out, okay? I think for the first part of this complaint, I feel you need a couple of days closure, clean the place up. I want a new Board of Health certificate that they've been in there and that they've looked at the place and they've looked at, you know, it's very rare that the police find a place in that kind of disarray. Usually it's a health inspector. And I have no complaint with the police doing this whatsoever. I commend them for doing it. But also, I think you should call a health, that at this point, for public safety and for the good of the people. Do you have a kitchen in there?
Yes, sir.
You do. I think you need to call in the Board of Health and have them take a good look at it and give you a new updated health certificate.
Mr. Chairman, could I just comment on, just on the report and the evidence? It was 2 bottles that were found to be contaminated. No findings were made with respect to the remainder of the premises. And I understand that there is a theory that where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
And I understand that.
And, you know, the
but
Board of Health comes in and does it, there's no fee for it.
But I do appreciate your comments on that. But, you know, closing them for 2 days, to do that, I think that this is a measure. Kitchens and restaurants are difficult to keep clean. There's no question about it. And perhaps they can be given an opportunity to clean up their act without closing the premises and having the place reviewed and
Yeah.
inspected.
But to have the beer taps changed and, you know, I mean, you've got to, as you said already, and I admire your honesty, and that's why I'm trying to be as understanding as I possibly can be, but you've already been here once in February. This time we've got,
Just before,
Yeah.
can I just interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
In the police report, and this is a problem that we need to rectify, I think. In the police report, it says that this is the 3rd time in 6 months that Mr. Jalapeno have sold or delivered an alcoholic beverage to underage patrons. The first one happened September 21st, 2011. That was never brought to our attention. So, is there a reason for that, Captain Webb, that it wasn't brought?
I'll take responsibility for that. That one was a record-keeping problem on our end.
Okay.
It's my responsibility. I didn't bring it forward.
Okay.
And
What, are you denying the facts
No,
of that
not at
one?
all. What I'm stating that, I wasn't here before the board in February. I'm
Right.
not denying it at all. I did review the file tape from that, and it was brought up by one of the officers that,
Okay.
that there was a question about, there was never a violation, and that was brought forward and not done. There's no dispute with respect to that.
All right, well, I
And
guess-
that goes back to what I'm saying is that they have to refocus with what they're doing over there. It's a restaurant, it's not a bar.
Here's my big concern, is that we were in here in February, and on March 10th, the same guy who was in here on February,
Should have been here in September.
but in any event, admits not asking for identification as he knew it was the owner's kid. That's not even like a, well, he looked 21 and I didn't check his ID. That's my big concern is, this is a knowing. We know who the individual is.
And I would say that if you went into the record and reviewed the prior reports, you would find, or you reviewed the tapes, quite candidly, you would find a similar response. That's poor judgment by Mr. Doucette. It seems that this can't go on, and that's why I suggested before is that we come back in 6 months for a review. We can't have people coming to this establishment who may be familiar to Mr. Doucette, who perhaps he is lax on this, and it shouldn't happen, and it won't happen again, that these people
I'm
have
sure-
to be sent away.
Here's my
I'm
concern.
sure that's been said before in February, and I'm sure it would have been said in September if he had been here. And the point behind it is really, really simple. These guys get to know their customers too well. They become too complacent. The people that work in the bars become too complacent. And all of a sudden, they've got a problem. We've argued this issue before. You've got minors. They can produce, false ideas. You've got to be on top of it. It's.
Here, my concern too is that, this is happening at midnight. And it's somebody that is known to be underage. Not even somebody who was producing a fake ID,
What,
I gotta be honest, I kinda like the idea of maybe shutting down at 11. Because if you say come back here in 6 months, that means basically that the Lowell Police Department has to check up, X number of times between now and then, which is extra work for them. And, we've already been hearing the financial issues with there's not enough money to cover all this extra stuff. So rather than have that cost put on the city, and I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about this, I would say, why don't we roll you back to 11 o'clock for 60 days, but if you want to be open after 11 o'clock, it can only be with a detail officer on the premises checking ID.
No, first of all, you can't do that. I don't think you can do that, can you? No, according to the police, you can't request a policeman to check IDs, so that's totally, I'm saying to you right now, my suggestion here is give them a couple of days to clean it up, notify the Board of Health, and that takes care, that's for the first part of this. He's got three, if that other complaint had come forward, as Commissioner
But
Cajun, that would have
it
been three
didn't, so-
strikes.
But he just admitted to it, so that means that he just happened to get unlucky 3 times? It's, where there's smoke, there's fire.
It doesn't happen that way, you know that.
Oh, okay. Well, the establishment has had three
Right.
issues. So I vote that we suspend the license for 7 days. I make the motion that we suspend the license for 7 days.
I can't, you want to second it? No? Yes? I can't do that.
So the motion fails for lack of a second.
I'll go halfway with you.
All right, I'll make a motion then to suspend for 7 days. 3 days to serve, 4 days held in abeyance for balance of the calendar year.
I'll second that. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay. On the second part of this, and again, if you want to, do you want to read the second complaint? Bring it up to,
Motion commencement of public hearing continued from May 3rd, 2012, to consider the public need in accordance with Section 12, Chapter 138, Mass General Law, to decrease hours for the sales of alcohol beverages during the calendar week from 2 a.m. to 11 p.m. for Mr. Jalapeno, Inc., Brendan T. Doucette, manager, the malt beverage and wine only restaurant licensee at 124 Merrimack Street. Mr. Chairman, you may wish to entertain comment from the public on this
Yep.
matter.
and we got the same folks. Anybody here would like to speak in favor of this, in favor? In favor. Okay, anybody who speak in opposition to opposition? This is to a rollback of hours where we would, this is a hearing to decrease,
Relative to the public need.
relative to the public comment as far as rolling back his hours. Anybody to speak in favor of it, in favor of that portion of the hearing is closed? Anyone in opposition? In opposition, in opposition. That portion of the hearing's closed. What's your point?
I mean, obviously, this is an issue that the service of underage individuals, and since they already offered it, I'll make the motion that we roll back the hours for 30 days to 11 p.m.
Motion made. Seconded? I'll second it. All in favor, say yes.
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 3 yeas? 3 yeses. To roll back to, right? 30 days, and we had
30
3
days.
yeses, that's all it was. Yes, yeah.
Okay, the secretary, the rollback of hours is not an appealable, but the suspension is, if you want to appeal it into Boston.
And I understand that this is a temporary rollback for 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, it's just temporary. And, you know, in 3 days, you know, he can get his act together. I don't know if he was on duty that night or what, and it doesn't really matter. Normally, if, you know, as I said, what Commissioner Cajun, if this had been the third time around in such a short period of time, we'd be looking at some serious problems. Thank you very much.
Thank
Next.
you.
Good luck, guys.
Next on the agenda.
Commissioner will now take up the matter to do with an application by WKA Investments LLC, doing business as the Brewery Exchange, all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 201 Cabot Street, for change of manager from Vincent P. Fermini to Wayne F. Brasco Jr. This matter was scheduled on our last meeting, May the 3rd, has been continued to this evening.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Wayne F. Brasco Jr. I'm the owner and operator of the Brewery Exchange in Lowell, Mass. here.
What's going on with your license? Why are you having all these issues? We've had to take it twice now. You don't appear for a meeting, and then you come outside saying you're not that you didn't mean to disrespect us. Well, obviously, it got back to you that we were sitting here and you didn't show up. I mean, you are operating a business in the city of Lowell, and you don't have the decency to show up on time for the meeting? I mean, that is 100% wrong. You cannot do that. You are a business owner in the city. There are rules and regulations of the License Commission, and you continually try to skirt them. We've had to take the license once, and then you raced down and got it back on a Friday afternoon, and then the other day, the only way to get your attention was to take it again. And I think it's incorrigible the way you've been acting, and the way your business has been run in the city.
I'm going to say, I'm going to just chime in and I'm going to agree here. Look, one, if you're not aware of when the meetings are, they're held on Thursdays. We send out notices. You asked us to transfer this. You've been running around operating without a manager for how many months now?
It was February.
Why, give me a reason why we shouldn't just say, you've been in violation of the rules and regulations for the last 3 months, let's take the license.
With all due respect, I sincerely apologize to the board for missing the meeting. In fact, I did a little timeline for the board to just show that I tried to act as diligently as possible. Upon the change of the prior manager to a new responsible person.
When did he leave?
It was February 17th of.
Okay.
of
When did you
2000
submit your packet to change managers?
February 21st. It was a Friday, the 17th, that we were in touch with Mr. Wynn regarding.
And you submitted a 100% complete packet by the 21st?
The package that I submitted was the complete package for the ABCC. There was a couple of.
The corporate resolution is dated March 21st, so it wasn't complete,
So
was
you're
it?
at least a month late on that.
There was a couple of items, and if you see some correspondence between myself and Mr. Wynn as the secretary, I had asked along the way if there was items missing, and he was gracious enough.
Okay, so when I asked when you submitted a completed packet, I meant when did you submit a complete packet?
Every time that I was brought aware that there was a document either missing or should have been filed with the original package,
So when was the complete packet submitted?
I believe that all of the documents were in the law department's hands. I don't have an exact date, but it was in March of 2012.
How long have you had a license in the city?
5 years, sir.
5 years. And in that 5 years, you haven't familiarized yourself with the rules and regulations of the License Commission and Mass General laws as to what is required to transfer a manager?
We never had gone through that prior, so that was my first attempt at changing the manager of record. I did make copies for each member of the board if you're interested.
I don't want to go there. Let me just say that, do you have a cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. And you couldn't make the meeting, but you couldn't dial us on the cell phone to say, I'm sorry, I forgot about the meeting, or I fell asleep, or whatever it was. That's all it would have required. That's all it would have required. Okay? When the secretary calls up and says, we need these papers, and you start razzle-dazzling them as far as when we're going to get what and everything, the moment all of that starts, everybody becomes suspect. The city owns the licenses, and regardless of what some people might be telling you, okay, that license is the property of the city. All right? And what do you want to do?
I'll make a motion to take it under advisement. Oh, okay, let me withdraw that motion.
We had 2 hearings.
Yeah, let me withdraw that. Yeah, why don't we just, I'll make a motion to step it back until we do take care of people who got their stuff in on time. We'll call this again. That's my motion. So,
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Should I sit down?
have a seat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Next on the agenda.
I'd hold off on 5. Let's go.
No, go to 6.
He can wait. Let's get the other people in. We're on time.
Yeah.
Commissioners will now take up the matter to do with the hearing on the allegation of item number 6. Hearing on the allegation of misconduct discharged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of the Police, against Shiv Chris Corporation, doing business as Powers Liquor. Sonel J. Patel, manager, the all alcoholic beverages package store licensee at 23 Wood Street for the sale, delivery of alcoholic beverages to a minor, 1 count, in conjunction with the Lowell Police Department compliance check, which had been conducted on Thursday, April 26, 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Jay Patel. I'm the owner of the Powers Liquor.
Okay?
James Lucia, night manager.
What happened?
Mr. Chairman, if we have a request, my lawyer was lost his way. He's downstairs now. He said he'll be in 5 minutes. So if you can wait for him and we can motion for the.
We'll just step it back.
Okay.
Okay, good,
Certainly.
have a seat.
Go ahead and sit
Thank you.
down.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda.
Commissioner now open a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, against Belvedere Liquors, Inc., Manual Career Manager of Record, the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensee at 36 Concord Street, for sale, delivery of alcohol beverages to a minor, 1 count, in conjunction with the Lowell Police Department compliance check, conducted on Thursday, April 26, 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening. My name is Marcio Correa. I'm the manager.
I'm Manny Gray, I'm the owner of the Belvedere Liquor.
I am Fernando Costa, I'm the employer.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
Well, if you prefer the employee to speak, or would you want me to speak?
Either
Doesn't-
or. Tell me what happened.
Well, the employee called me on that night saying that there was an issue that he had sold to a minor. I went in, reviewed the cameras, asked him what had happened. He stated that the customer came up to the counter and he looked at him. He thought he was 21, and he, sold him the 12-pack. He missed, bad judgment on his part.
Didn't ask for the
He
ID.
did not ask for an ID. I've worked with him plenty of times. We just hired him. I mean, he's been there for 2.5 years with us. He was part of our family. He got divorced from my cousin, but he's been with us for years. We've known him. He's worked as a bartender for 12 years. So he's familiar with, asking for IDs, and, we took drastic measures in getting an employee that was very,
How many times have you been caught in a sting now? This isn't your first time.
this is not our first time. This is, I believe, our second time,
That's what I want to get.
if I'm correct.
Wait a minute.
Or third, I'm not
Captain,
sure.
do you have the photo of the individual?
I think Lieutenant Goldner has it with him.
Can we see it,
Can we
please?
see it for a second? That's a tough one right there.
Yeah, it's a tough call. How many times have they been caught?
Okay, that's,
2009, he suspended his license for 7 days. August for sale to minor. And in 2008, 6 months probation. So the only thing is, in 2009, December, after the matter had been appealed to the ABCC, it was 7 days.
so they appealed to the ABCC and lost?
They appealed, and it was to do with the,
Did they pay for it, or did they?
well, it was the basis for the, primary basis for the appeal was the manner in which the decision was, as far as suspension of license, had been rendered in such a way that it would be, it was 1 count, and then it was there were 2 violations, and the manner of extension of the suspension period involving the 2 separate instances, essentially extended it to the balance of the year for the suspension of license. That matter was appealed, and then the ABC essentially remanded it back to the local board with the recommendation that it would be a simple 7-day suspension, as opposed to the, because the reference to in the second decision, the first complaint where the licensee hadn't been given proper notice.
But they've had, so that's four, what?
Essentially, that was
So it's been 4 times now?
3 times.
3 times. And this is the third, or this is
This
fourth?
will be the fourth, but
Fourth
this
time.
will be,
And you know what really frustrates me on this one? Is that I remember when I first got on this board, yeah, like almost 4 years ago now, and we were taking up a beer and wine license on another store that's the one street over from this store. And Mr. Correa came in and he said, "You can't give the license. I'm a professional package store owner, and, you know, they won't have it. I have the mechanisms in place not to sell to minors and not to violate the rules and regulations." But the funny thing is, he's been here 4 times since he said he was a professional manager. And that other store hasn't been here. So this professional reputation that you think you have, it's just, I mean, 4 times is just way too many to be stung with under 21, service to someone that's under the age of 21. It's just not right. You have a terrible reputation. I've lived in the city of Lowell my entire life. Anyone knows who's under the age of 21, go to Belvedere Liquors. I mean, that's what they know. And until you rectify that, until you start carding everyone, you're gonna have issues. So since you had a 7-day suspension before, I'm gonna make a motion. And I know that these are supposed to be training exercises, these
Yeah, but some
stings.
people don't get
but
trained.
they're not being trained.
No.
So I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the license for 14 days, 7 days to be served, 7 days to be held in abeyance for the balance of the calendar year.
Can I add one other thing? Like you had said, where my dad came up and said, you know, we're professionals. We do own another store in Lawrence, and we've been there for 12 years. And we do have drastic measures in place where we do check IDs. I work at the store in Lowell. I've worked in Lawrence. Like I was saying, he's done bartending for 12 years. So we didn't just get anybody off the street to come and work for us. Because after the last incident that we had was drastic, we took measures into getting somebody that we know does his work.
But it didn't work. So you have to take drastic measures. So that's my motion.
Okay, I say something?
Can he?
Sure.
Okay, my name is Fernando Costa. I want to explain one thing. The person come to the store is like, if you look at the picture, I saw you see the picture. He looks like almost 21. Maybe, okay, I understand. More, like 100%, I ask for IDs over there. I don't care you guys say the liquor store Belvedere is bad or no. I live in Draker, in Tom de Draker. I go over there work, I work 100%. I work a bartender before 100%. I never have this problem in my life. Okay, don't think I'm a bad person. Everybody comes over there, I ask for IDs. Doesn't matter.
But you
Another
didn't in
thing you
this
say
case.
about the liquor store, 1 minute please. What do you say about the liquor store is bad because they have a bad name? I understand. But doesn't matter. If people go over there, they say, oh, he's over there, he needs ID. Everybody know I ask for ID. Okay, I thanks to him for doing the job. I understand. The right job you have to check. But I want you to understand that I'm over there, I'm a no bad person. I'm a human being. You're doing my job.
We're not saying you're a bad
I'm
person.
not saying you're a bad person, but
No, Miss, you say it like the liquor store have a bad. Miss, I'm over there for 2.5 years. You guys never get a this. You go like maybe 10 times. People go over there. Somebody send people over there, ask for drinks. I say, you ID. But one mistake, I'd be like.
yeah, but this is the problem, is that there are package stores throughout the city.
No, Miss, one mistake I did for 2.5 years. Go more than 10 people. The cops send people over there, more than 10.
Okay,
Nobody got a drink.
I understand your frustration.
Everybody doing mistakes.
I understand your frustration, but don't you understand our frustration that,
Frustration for the name, the liquor store. I know when you're frustrated for my name.
oh,
Because
I'm
I
not,
do my job.
I am not saying anything about you, but you said you,
Say because the guys that hire people know. I'm a human being. I'm almost 54 years old. I'm doing my job.
right, But you made a
You
mistake.
didn't do your job.
Hey, everybody doing mistakes. in
I
the
make
life.
mistakes all the time, and I'm not,
Everybody doing mistakes.
but we can't, when something as serious as selling alcohol to a minor, we can't have mistakes. And drastic measures have to be put in place. Maybe you need,
I can't sleep like for almost the 20 days.
okay.
Because
Do you have an
it's
ID
better-
scanner at the establishment? Do you have an ID scanner at the establishment?
What is it, sir?
Do you have an ID?
Yes, we do.
Do you have a scanner?
Yes, we
Do you have a register where you have to type in the address, type in the birthday?
The register does that also, yes.
And you still failed? I mean, that's, so what date of birth did you put in the register?
That is actually shut off on the register. We do not have that in,
Well, you just said you did.
it is there, it's. we
Then
can-
why do you have it
but
shut
We
off?
do have the credit, the.
Why do you have it shut off? If you paid for it, why don't you have double protection?
It is true. It is true. I have there's no excuse for that. But like I'm saying, he's very upset because when we brought somebody in, we brought somebody that we knew we can trust to check IDs. And like he says, he made a bad judgment that night. And I even asked him, how? How did you do that? And he's like, I don't know. He even had to leave. I had to take over for him because he couldn't stay there any longer.
Listen, and I don't want to hurt.
I understand you
I don't want
guys-
to penalize anyone
No, I know, I
financially.
understand
I don't want you to lose
Like you say,
wages or
14
anything.
days, 14 days, this is, I don't understand. Because if you guys think about it, a lot of times go over there. For 2.5 years, I know, sometimes you stay outside of the lights on.
We have gotten letters from the
I'm
chief
over
of
there
police
for 2.5 years
congratulating us
alone. I never
for
did
not
one
selling,
mistake.
which was him. They said they-
All right. I'll make my motion again that we suspend the license for 14 days, 7 days to be served, 7 days to be held in abeyance for the balance of the calendar year.
Second, Commissioner Davis.
No.
You didn't, you did.
No.
You're taking it back, the second.
Did I?
You did second.
Oh,
You gotta
no.
withdraw. Okay.
No one's liking my motions today.
I'll say 3 days, suspend the license for 3 days, put 10 days in abeyance for the rest of the calendar year.
I'll second.
Yeah, 3
3
days
to
to
serve,
serve
10
and 10 to,
suspended.
yeah.
Yes.
All in favor, say yes? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we want to roll them? No. Oh, okay, that's right, okay. All right, so you got 3 day suspension, and you're gonna have 10 days sitting there.
Okay.
And I understand what this gentleman's saying, but I'm telling you right now, you guys should be over there thanking the guys in the police department. Everybody looks at it, the state policeman or the highway police car that pulls you over and stops you from speeding. Everybody gets ticked off at him. He might have just saved your life and slowed you down.
Which we do.
The guy that went in your store and bought the booze, that police department might have just saved your whole business that night.
Right.
He might have went and taken a couple of drinks and gone out, wrapped himself around a telephone.
We understand that, we understand that.
And we gotta put the right perspective here. We don't want this gentleman to feel like we think, we know you're not bad people.
No,
And we're not up here saying
we're
that.
trying, we try
But
100%.
you have a record of this.
No, I
and
understand.
You need to look at it.
And our prior record was not
And
that good, and
the
I
younger
understand.
people, your store has a reputation.
And I understand from what I'm saying, the
Okay?
prior
Once
guy
you get that
that we had,
reputation, you're in big trouble. And
the police department actually did us a favor because we don't have that many young kids going in there anymore,
Okay.
trying or anything
No,
like
I
that.
don't let young kids.
All right,
run.
good. Well, that's good to hear. I drive by there every day. I want to be able to stop in there and get what I need. And I want you guys to succeed because it's an area of the city that it's good that there's businesses there because there's not a lot, It needs some growth, and if you guys are there and doing a good job, it's gonna be better and beneficial to the residents of the city. So and you said you took drastic measures in Lawrence, take drastic measures in Lowell, and then we won't ever see you again unless I go in there to buy something.
We don't want to
All
be.
right?
You know, and people
wanna be
pass and pass and pass. And you know, for some reason, you can't make package store and barroom owners understand that. Somebody comes in your store and they buy, and they're a minor. The next day, half the high school and college knows about it.
Correct.
Now, and they know who was working and when he was working and how they, and
You know, I've worked at nights and I've taken IDs from people who come in with fake IDs. I've ripped them up in front of them, and I'm like, if you guys don't like it, we can call the police department. They could
Okay.
come down here.
The one other thing, I know this is going on, but the one other thing is if you have the birth date on
Put
the
it in the
register,
thing.
just keep using it because it's,
You know what I do personally? I ask them the questions.
Yeah,
You know, where they live, their name. There's
But
been
it's just
people that
another
don't even
check.
know where they live. That's how that's what I do.
but it's just another check, that's all.
I
It's just another
I know, and
mechanism.
it's there, we should use it.
Okay.
You're right.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thanks, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
next.
Sorry.
Commission will now open a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against Lucky B. Inc., Peter Bozoglo, Senior Manager, all beverage and wine only package store licensee at 185 Woburn Street, for sale, delivery of alcohol beverages to a minor, one count, in conjunction with the Lowell Police Department compliance check conducted on Thursday, April 26, 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Peter Voyatoglu.
Erica Page.
I'm sorry, get your name, ma'am.
Erica Page.
Okay. You were obviously caught in the sting also. Tell me how this happened. Who was working? Don't get nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Relax, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay, take it easy.
They're really not as mean as
We
they seem.
aren't as mean as you might think we are. Okay.
We'll let Peter.
Hey,
She was very busy that night.
tell us
and,
what happened.
Yeah.
I believe, like, she had called me, I think maybe a half hour prior to this.
Yeah.
Because we had ran out of gas. And I think that, the customers were just hassling her a ton that night. And I think it kind of just threw off her game. Since this violation, you guys were talking about adding, when we sell alcohol before, it would just say, is the person 21 on a register? Now, we paid for an update that, I just found out that we had for our POS system, that you have to actually physically type in
Put the date
actual
in.
date, which
Yeah.
is, I think, the greatest thing, which I wish I would have known earlier.
What time was it when this happened? Anybody know?
7:30, I think, 7 or 8
It's
o'clock.
early in the evening.
And
You
the
ran out of
issue,
gas
the
then?
issue that you have at your store is that you have the Subway in there, you have.
Dunkin' Donuts.
You have the Dunkin' Donuts, you have, a lot of items for sale, so you have underage kids coming in that store all the time.
Oh, yeah,
and they
I know,
should
I know
be.
every one of them.
Yeah, and they should be coming in because that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
But, you gotta be very, very careful with the alcohol service. That's-
I'm gonna add another person at night on my busy nights to back up the cashiers for when, I feel like maybe they may get overwhelmed and maybe have to take a break.
Have you ever taken a tips course?
Oh,
Erica?
No.
What is it?
Tips course?
Tips course?
No.
You might want to, there are companies out there that you can hire to check your business. I don't know how expensive they are or anything, but they're professional people that can go around and they send people into your store to see if the clerk's asking for, the whole bit. I don't know what you pay for it or anything. I think that the secretary probably has the gentleman's name. In Billerica, there's a tips course, a place where you can go, I think it's like 2 nights or something. It's not it's a one-on-one deal. It's not looking at a stupid computer screen. It's an actual human being standing in front of you.
Yeah.
And it does do a lot of good. I mean, it probably sounds crazy, but it does do a lot of good. It
Familiarizes, I guess, the employees.
well, yeah,
with-
but it gives you things to look for.
Yeah,
That you would never think to look for,
okay.
So, I mean, it's just an idea.
time they got
How many times have you been caught?
I believe
Twice?
so.
Is this two? This is number 3.
Number 3.
How long have you had the license?
4 years?
3 or 4, I mean, that's a lot, too. It's the same scenario as the other place.
Let me ask you, what's the turnover rate? I mean,
I don't
with,
have-
with employees, just because, you know,
I've had my same workers for years.
well, what about in the evening shifts or the, I guess with the mid shift, because that's the,
He's
How-
been working for me for
how long have you been
3
there,
years.
Erica?
I've been there for quite a while, yeah.
But
And-
now, on the other stings, were you the employee that got caught?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
I'll
It
be
was her
honest,
mother,
I'm
actually.
always carding people, and it was
Yeah.
hectic that night, and just that one, and it was just, because I always tell myself, I ain't gonna let them catch me, I didn't want to be the one caught. So I always asked for that ID, and
No, I know. You know. But again, my concern is getting caught 3 times in 3 to 4 years one thing is in one way, it's more difficult for them because there's a lot of underage people coming into the establishment because they sell a variety of goods. And the store is very well kept and it looks good.
Nice area.
But the other thing is, it's also more important that they're extra vigilant because they do have the young kids in there. So it's kind of in one way, I want to give them some leniency because they have constant under 21-year-olds. But on the other hand, I want them to be held to a higher standard or the highest standard because there are 21.
I agree, because I kind of think of it, they're kind of in that catch-22 situation. They probably pass more real-world tests on a regular basis
Right.
because of the number of young people that are in there who are
Right.
going to try.
Well,
But,
yeah.
you know, obviously, when we pick our people, they're not picking somebody who's clearly underage.
It's borderline.
It's
Absolutely.
somebody who's, you know,
Should be. I mean,
it's a close call.
Want to do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Want to do 14 days? I'll suspend it for a year.
Right. With none served. Yeah.
All right, okay. All right.
You want me to I'll make a motion that we suspend the license for 7 days, and the suspension be held in abeyance for the remainder of the calendar year. So if nothing happens for the year,
Okay.
you'll be all set.
All right.
Okay?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All right, motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Better take her to the hospital.
All right.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, against V.J. Patel, doing business as Jerry's Food Store, malt beverage and wine only package store licensee at 1172 Lawrence Street, for sale, delivery of alcohol beverages to a minor, 1 count, in conjunction with the Lowell Police Department compliance check conducted on Thursday, April 26, 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, David Plunkett representing Vijay Patel.
Vijay Patel.
Okay, how many times have you been caught?
This is the first time myself.
This is the first time you've been caught?
Second time for the store, Mr. Chairman, in 4 years of license.
Second time for the store, once for him.
Well, he's the owner of the store, so he's responsible.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead. 2009? No, tell us, I was just saying, he's the owner. He said it never, once for him.
Him.
Well, he's the licensee.
I know, so how many times for the store?
1 time, 2009.
So it'd be twice.
Okay. Ed, do you have any argument against the,
Mr. Chairman, board members, this is a situation where, it's a small business operation. Mr. Patel, his wife, excuse me, and 1 employee, they take this very seriously. This was a situation where
the problem with the discretionary call that night was wrong, and he realizes it was wrong. And again, it's something that is very important to him, that he takes to heart. We have discussed this. He has actually looked into and is going to be ordering a new system that has the ability with the queue-in of, if it's an alcohol sale, that they'll have to queue in the date of birth, and it also will have the capacity of scanning the license itself. That's going to be at the cost of approximately $1,800. But, again, to emphasize the fact that Mr. Patel understands the seriousness of this situation and, wants to make certain that it will never happen again. Despite some misgivings about computers, he does have set for next week the tips online that he himself, his wife, and his employee is going to do the on-computer tips program.
Yeah.
Again, no one has taken this in a offhanded manner or not accepting and realizing the seriousness of it. Again, it was a close call, but it shouldn't have happened. He realizes it shouldn't have happened, and it won't happen again, I think, with these measures that he will take to protect against that.
The tips on, I'm not a big, as you probably can guess, I'm a little too old, but I'm not a big fan of computers and learning. I like a one-on-one session with somebody that you can ask questions to. Okay, I think that that's really kind of important. I think the second thing that's very, very important is that we don't put our license, which is the city liquor license, which is his livelihood, that we don't put that in the hands of a machine. The machine is good. It's a tool. It's a tool to be used. The gentleman right before you has a cash register, but they don't use it. Hello? You've got it right there, and why don't you use it? Okay. My only suggestion there is that if you got to talk to him and make sure he understands that all the equipment in the world cannot beat the human being. No. Because these kids at the university and the kids they don't even need children in high school today. My grandson can turn the thing on and, it's just, to me, it's amazing the things that they can do. And of course, I'm sure these guys are all the same. I'm kind of standing like the lone wolf. I believe in, one-on-one, and you got to say it to me 3 times. And the point being that you can ask questions back where, you know what I mean, with the computer.
No, he understands, and he looks at this as an additional tool and understanding, but, again, it will be a major investment, and this will also, is supposed to have the capacity of identifying the fake
Well,
IDs.
I got to put this in his favor and say, he's right across the street from a church. He's in a very densely populated area, the Wigginville area there, and we really have had no complaints about him. The only complaints, of course, is that, again, and it's hard to make these guys understand that the police department or the license commission or, anybody that's on this side of the rail, we're not here to put you out of business. We're here to stop you from killing somebody, because unfortunately, that's what too much of booze is going to do. Going to wrap you around a telephone pole. You're going to lose everything you spent your whole life working, and these guys work phenomenal hours. You know that yourself. Just phenomenal. Okay. Anybody got a motion?
I'll make a motion. It's a second offense. I'll make a motion for a 3-day suspension and suspend it for the balance of the calendar year.
Second.
We got a 3-day suspension, suspended for the rest of the year. With a second, all in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Give him a good talking to.
Thank you.
Back to what are we on?
Okay.
Well, what, do you want to do the community power liquors?
Powers Liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner, now we resume back to number 6. on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against Shiv Chris Corporation, Powers Liquor.
Good evening. My name is Greg DeMarcus. I'm an attorney in Lynn, and I represent Shiv Chris Corporation. First of all, I want to apologize. I've never seen such traffic like that. I apologize for being late. I'm here with my client, Jay Patel, who's the sole stockholder of Shiv Chris Corporation. Unfortunately, this is the second time we're here in the last 10 years since he's purchased Powers Liquors. For those of you familiar with Powers Liquors, and I'm sure you all are, it's a wonderfully run establishment. I've known Jay for 15 years, and everything he runs in a very professional manner. To my left is Jim Lucia, who's been his night manager, who's been there for 40 years, almost 40 years. Jay Patel's the type of guy, when he purchases a business, he doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. He had a guy that was there for 30 years. He said, stay on for another 20.
I'm going to stop you where you are and tell you a quick story, okay? And my fellow commissioners bear me out on this. This, of all the package stores in the city of Lowell, this one shocks me the most. I've been in his store. I was in his store one day when a fellow did not have an ID. The fellow screamed at him, called him names, everything. And he just escorted the person out. And he probably doesn't remember, but I turned around after I had been in the store and went back in the store and complimented his employees. They really, they went overboard, and I know the way they run the store, and I was very, very impressed, and I wanted them to know that I was. And I had come back at a licensing meeting shortly thereafter and said, I told them the story about Powers. So this is really kind of shocked me that this happened to him.
Well, and I'll let Jay explain it also. We can't tell you how sorry we are, how remorseful we are. He has a young employee who's a wonderful employer. Her name is Dixita Patel. She was just, new, been a couple of months. She got flustered. She blanked out. She's being she's going to take the TIPS training. She's been trained by Mr. Lucia. She's been trained by the other people there, and she just made a mistake. And I have with me the TIP certifications of all of the employees there. I have with me commendations from several stings in the past that the city of Lowell has performed that they've passed successfully. And it's just one of these things. We're shocked and disappointed as you are that we're here. As I said, she's going to be...
Just tell me what happened. Did you bring the employee with you?
Yes,
Is this the
yeah.
young lady?
This is Dixita Patel.
Hi, my name is Dixita.
It's okay. What time at night, what time was it when this happened?
It was evening time.
I'm sorry?
It was around evening, 7:38.
7:38.
Actually, what happened was, I guess the guy came up to the register. The price didn't come up, so I kind of got confused because I've been there for only like a couple of months. And I asked the other employee what the price was, and I know it's a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. And I forgot to ask him for an ID.
You've been there, what, 2 months? Okay. Were you the manager on duty that night?
No, I was not, no.
You were there?
I was not there.
You were not there. Okay. Were you in the store alone?
No, I had two other employees with
You had
me.
two other that are,
One was on the floor.
okay, all right. I know you do unbelievable.
They do good as far as keeping track of everybody.
And I do
Say on
all
the
the
floor,
time.
yeah.
I do ask for IDs, and
Yeah.
that day,
And-
even at 5 o'clock, I had a customer that I asked him for an ID, he didn't have it, and I said, I can't sell you the liquor, because you don't have an ID. I sent him home, he brought his ID back,
Yeah.
and I sold it to him afterwards. And it just happened at 7:30 that I didn't ask him.
Okay.
I apologize.
You just gotta be so careful today. Like I say, I was so impressed with the way you folks handled that particular situation. It could have been quite volatile, and your employees handled it, and that's why I was really kind of surprised. You're a new employee, and, you know, it's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn. But it's, what would you like to do?
Yeah. You've been here twice in 10 years. You know, I'm going to say that I've been in your store as well. I've seen the place very well run. I'm going to make a motion to place it on file for the balance of this year, meaning that if something comes up, you know, if you're in here again, we could take action on both. But for now, I'd keep it on file till the end of this calendar year. And, you know, if you make it through that period, then,
We'll throw it away.
yeah.
I'll second it. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
No.
You're all set?
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mr. Chairman. Good.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Ryan.
Chapter 138 and license regulations. Again, this is to do with the hearing on WKA Investments, LLC, DBA The Brewery Exchange, all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 201 Cabot Street. On the matter that the allegation that there is no manager of record for the licensee, WKA Investments, LLC, in compliance with Mass Law, Chapter 138, and License Commission regulation.
Introduce yourself.
Good evening again, gentlemen. My name is Wayne Brasco. I'm owner and operator of the Brewery Exchange in Lowell, Mass.
Okay. A legal opinion. What, how's, if we were to pass this and say, you know, pass a change of manager, okay? And we know that it's got to go to Boston.
It's a different hearing.
We're talking, okay, we had the hearing on, we had the matter to do with the application for change of manager.
Yeah,
And you put that off.
right.
And then,
So, oh, you're doing the second run?
Second.
Okay, my mistake. Sorry about that, chief. Okay. All right.
so here's the notice of hearing on regards to the fact that the
Okay.
alleged is no manager of record.
Can I see the paperwork that you prepared?
Yes, sir, please. May I approach?
Yeah, sure. You know, just looking at the timeline, you know, that Friday, the 17th, the manager notifies the license commission that he's not going to be the manager of record anymore. And then it's not until the 21st, which I know is only 4 days, but when your primary business days are Friday, I would assume Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you would think you'd be getting that application done right away. And then he doesn't do it until the 21st. and he doesn't do it correctly. And he says he dropped it off for his attorney's office for review, so the attorney didn't do it correctly. Either or, one and the same. And on the 22nd, it was delivered to the Lowell License Commission. And obviously, it was incomplete, and he waited another, this was a leap year, so another 8 days before touching base with the License Commission to see if he was on for the meeting. And again, you know, Commissioner Wynn, who bends over backwards for people, or Executive Secretary Wynn, who bends over backwards for people, says that, you know, the Corey form needs to be notarized, and that was on March 5th, and then another 10 days pass, and it's now March 15th, and he's emailing the commission to see if it's all set, and then, you know, then another 6 days pass, and it's still not complete until then. And then we have a meeting on May 3rd, and he just missed the meeting. So obviously, this wasn't at the top of the list of things to do for Mr. Brasco. And, you know, it's disappointing because, you know, his livelihood depends on this license, and he doesn't really care whether there's a manager or not, it appears. So it's frustrating to me.
Where's he live?
So, I mean, I guess we could suspend the license. We could, is the notice allow for a rollback in hours? But that would be for public, but we could suspend the license, I guess.
With all due respect, could I make a few comments?
Yeah.
On February 17th, it was Friday at approximately 3 o'clock when we learned that we would be having the change of manager. I personally spoke with Mr. Wynn within approximately an hour from that. Being Friday, I did work on the application over the weekend that we submitted by Tuesday.
But that's not what your timeline says, just so that's not what the timeline says. So you handed us something different than what you're testifying to.
I apologize, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was completed on Tuesday and Federal Expressed for receipt of the commission on Wednesday. And if you look down on the dates, we had scheduled a couple of, we were possibly going to be on a couple of different meetings. And if you see, I actually had emailed the commission to see if we were on record for those days and if we were having the meeting. So it was definitely on the top of our mind that we had to take care of that.
Oh, we haven't got a copy of that. It was all email stuff, can be from anywhere, for God's sake. Oh, I don't want to see that.
All right, I'll make a motion that we suspend the license for 3 days and hold it in abeyance for the remainder of the calendar year for failure to have a manager.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Going back to item number,
3 days, yeah.
Just, yeah.
going back to item number 5, I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer, or sorry, that we approve the change in the manager of record from Mr. Fromani to Mr. Brasco. That, of course, has to get forwarded down, if that's,
I'll second the motion.
On the motion, you know, I was just looking through this, and I'm not trying to be difficult or anything. I'm sure you think I am and whatnot, but that doesn't bother me in the least. But, you know, just to give you kind of my overview on this, you own the brewery, you're living in Lexington, which is okay, you know, all right. Do you know how many hours you gotta put in over there? Everything here is emailed, and I'm thinking to myself, so Tuesday, you Federal Express the papers. You know, it's like, even I, who have a very difficult time walking, could walk from the brewery over here and hand it to the guy and say to him, you know, is everything there that I need? Okay, and I say this with no reservations whatsoever. This guy is the hardest working, most cooperative guy in the city of Lowell.
I agree.
I fault him for it sometimes. Sometimes I think he ought to tell the taxpayers to go take a good one for themselves. But he doesn't. He tries to work with people, tries to get things done. And it really frustrates me when people take advantage of that. I mean, you know, this is, you know, this applicant, this is your livelihood. You know, this isn't, you know, a driver's license for a car isn't as good. You can always get somebody else to drive you. You can't get somebody else to run your liquor establishment. So, you know, I'd like you to keep that in mind. We got a motion and a second to do it, and I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes. So it'll go in. Now, it's gonna go to Boston, and at the rate, Boston's running 6 weeks.
I would suggest Mr. Brasco call the ABCC.
Yeah,
Just keep up on them,
yeah.
all right, because,
This thing just gets really bogged down. I mean, if you owe any back taxes, anything, parking, I don't care what it is, they're gonna find it.
Yeah.
Department of Revenue's gonna come down, and once that happens, it's out of our hands. So we always try to tell people to be very careful when they file, because we've got into situations that the secretary will tell where people have had to have their accountants go down, and it really goes on. Okay?
Thank you, gentlemen. I do sincerely apologize. I didn't mean to,
Well, you know, if you really
disrespect the
sincerely
board.
apologize, you won't be back here.
I certainly hope
That's
so.
the best goddamn news, pardon my French.
Thank you,
That's the
gentlemen.
best news I could hear.
Have a good
Okay?
night.
Take care.
And I also, for the record, I agree with the comments about Secretary Wynn. Have a good night.
Get that vote.
Commission will now take up communications from the Superintendent of Police dated May 7th, 2012. Allegation that the following retail package store licensees sold delivered alcohol beverages to a minor in conjunction with the police department's compliance check on Friday, May 4th. L&M Liquors, Inc., Leona Mendonca, manager for 424 Chelmsford Street, and King Liquors, Bansong Chun, for 326 Fletcher Street.
L&M, where's L&M Liquors?
That's the old silver package store. It's up by Stanfield Tire.
Yeah.
There's a little
Tommy
mini mall,
Burns' old
strip
place,
mall.
the old Atlantic Liquors, the Burns' old place.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I'll make a motion to put them on June 7th.
Seconded. All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? Anything you got, Captain Webb?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm all set.
All set?
Make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
We're coming home, Benjamin. I hope you got your homework done.
Kidding me, Benjamin's probably asleep by now.